Let's do it. Let's do it. Welcome back to the One More K podcast, your favorite show on the internet, of course, covering everything trail running, business, and whatnot. Sorry, backyard running. Sorry, Ned. Good morning, Ned. Good afternoon, Ned.
Good afternoon. Your favorite show on the internet. I love that. I wonder how many shows have claimed that theirs is the favorite show on the internet. But no, people, it's actually ours. This is the favorite show on the internet.
This is the one. That's the one. We are your long run best friend. That's what I've been hearing from people. So I think that maybe is.
Well, actually, and just as we do, we go off topic and we maybe one time we do a long run episode, which back in the day of Talk Ultra, it would do like a 3-hour episode. Because, a long run is long, right? And some people want to, it's hard to believe people want to hear us for 3 hours, but a long run episode at some point, maybe.
Yeah, or we go on a long run together and we record that. That's like the live streaming part. But that would mean you run much faster than I do, because if I run too fast, I get out of breath and then I can't talk.
I don't run faster. What are you talking about? What? I don't run faster than you. You're a speedster.
I'm a speedster. I'm the Gnurkster, people say.
Was that your name back in the day?
Kind of self-imposed. I heard it once and I kind of liked it. The Gnurkster. The word Gnurk, very much off topic now, is coming from northeast Germany, like almost now Poland, and it is translated to back in the days to something like jester. So the Gnurks were always some kind of comedians, jester, entertainers, which hence I'm here with you today to entertain the people out there who are willingly, kindly giving us their time. Today's going to be kind of a nerd show. I think we have one particular topic to dig into, which is our best friend besides UTMB, Strava. And sorry, UTMB, don't be jealous. But yeah, we gotta cover some Strava stats, as they have given us lots of golden nuggets in their year in review report coming out December 3rd, which I read, by the way, that every company now, Spotify, LinkedIn, even Riverside, has a year in review published on December 3rd. So it seems like there's like this coordination going on in the social media world of let's publish all the data on December 3rd.
Is there any rhyme or reason to why it's December the 3rd?
No, I only came across it a few years ago, of course, when Spotify started doing it, and there was a big one, the Wrapped. Yep, but now, again, every single platform bombards me with here's your real review on December 3rd. I don't know, maybe people copy Spotify or there was something else, I don't know, but it's just, that's the date. And Strava as well, you just published their report on 3rd of December.
I think it is something that we have chatted about before. I think it's fair to say that if people who listen to this show were asked to delete all the apps on their phone in order of importance, Strava would make it quite far to the end, right? You would be loath, would you get rid of Insta before Strava? Would you get rid of, I think Strava would stick around for us runners. If you had to whittle it down to a fair few, Strava would stay, wouldn't it?
I mean, okay, so there are two components here. The one of is, would it stay on the app or on the phone? Would you like uninstall, install? Or the other one is like, would you pay for it? And so then I don't know how would you, but I think I only pay for Spotify. I don't pay for any other app otherwise, as far as I remember.
I agree. I think I pay for Netflix, pay for Spotify. We have a family plan. Interestingly, in my business, I realize I have about 10. So I pay for Riverside, I pay for Beehive, I pay for LinkedIn, I pay for Sales Navigator, I pay for HubSpot, right? So in my other world, I was checking at them, paying, those $59 a month or $39 a month apps start to pile up. So as we dig into Strava, I have never paid for Strava, not because I don't like it. I love it. I just don't need more. Do you know what is the monthly payment for Strava?
Actually, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't. A few dollars, I believe. It's not that much. I don't know. It's a lot.
I don't think it's
let's double check.
Okay, my guess is it's $19.99. It's $20, which is nothing really.
Okay, no, it's $11.99 per month or $80 per year, and the family plan is $140 per year, so up to 4 people. yeah, so $12 a month or $80 a year.
So would you, if it was no Strava, if Strava went paid only, would you keep it?
No, I wouldn't. No. I mean, I think we can talk a bit more now. I think the two parts I want to talk about with Strava is, let's look into the numbers. I think we have a lot of numbers to go through. We can't go through all of them, but I think there are a few that we should highlight. And then also we want to look ahead in the plan that's been kind of in the grapevines, talking about the public. They're going public, doing IPO next year. So, but let's talk about the numbers first. I think that give us a bit of a groundwork in the foundation to talk about the IPO.
Let's do it.
They published a report which covers everything from last year, so 1st of September to end of August this year. So it's not the calendar year; it's their reporting year from September to August. I think there's a PDF out there. So anyone out there, please go to strava.com and find the report. It is very insightful, and again, there's a lot to go through. Any number that sticks out for you in the beginning, because I mean, yeah, there's a lot to go through. But Ned, anything that stuck out that you want to highlight before I dig into it?
Let's dig into it, because I can get a little all over the place. I'd like your analytical brain, because the reason it really came to me was, I remember when we last discussed it, we were like, oh, it's not even profitable. But that seems to not be true anymore. There's obviously these user numbers. So why don't you, with your more analytical brain, jump into it, and then we can discuss where it's going from a business sense.
Yeah. So there are a few things. So there's of course the numbers. So there are 180 million users on Strava, which seems to be a nice growth. We look back a few years ago, the 125 and 145. So there seemed to be a healthy growth in numbers, and that's for sure a good sign for Strava. Then of course it's also that they highlight a few things continuously and I think even a few times in the report, which is the key number for them. For 1 hour being active, they are spending 2 hours on 2 minutes on the app. So a user spends 1 hour being active, and they then spend 2 minutes on the app.
Oh, I couldn't quite make this out. I was like, hold on, you mean people are hanging out on? Okay, so. But hold on. Like what? So if I run for 5 hours, I'm going to spend 10 minutes. But on the app, if I run for 1 hour, I'm going to spend. But that's silly.
That's right. That's how they say, and they highlight it a few times. This comes is been mentioned in the report a few times. That alone already is let's dig into this. So I think they're trying to sell a message. They're saying users are going more offline. We are here to support a more healthy offline trend. Get off social media, get into your exercise. You spend less time on your phone. Yeah? So that is kind of what they're trying to convey as a message. Like we are part of this healthy trend of being less online on TikTok, YouTube, whatever, on social media.
But come on, but that's a flawed argument. Hey, what we're doing is encouraging runners. No, dude, how many people started running because of Strava? Come on, no. People started running because of Insta, like influencers, or they started running. Look, I love Strava, so I'm not giving them shit. But I am. This seems an interesting one because, okay, I'll ask you a question. Let's dig into this. When I finish my run, I use Chorus. It goes to Chorus, and then Chorus goes to Strava. Okay. I then look at my run on Strava to feel good about myself. I'm like, oh, look what I did. Yeah, I'm a legend. Look at me. I'm great. And then I sometimes go back when people press like. Do I then cruise Strava looking at other people's activities? 5-10 minutes a day, but that's irrespective. You know what? I spend more time looking at Strava when I'm injured, because then I feel sad and I want to look what other people are doing to make me feel like other people are running. I'll be honest. This to me feels quite a contrived.
Okay, fair enough. I think that's good input. How I read it between the lines is this number sounds good right now, but actually might backfire a lot when you are talking business. Because
interesting.
This already goes back into the IPO conversation. If they want to go public, the question will be, how will they be valued? What is the benchmark? Are they going to be valued as sports, like a Garmin, Under Armour, Peloton company, which is, as you know, hardware, it's gear. Strava does not have. They're hardware agnostic. Or are they valued as a social media company? And social media companies, as you know, are valued clearly just simply by how many hours a day does a user spend on the app, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. And there's a clear incentive of those companies to make you stay longer on the app. The algorithm works in the company's favor to keep you on the app. Right? So here's a question for you, Ned, right now, and we can discuss it. In which bucket would you put Strava right now? Social media network or hardware gear?
Right? Jesus, you definitely think deeper than I do. It's a SaaS business. It's an app. It's not social media. So I don't think it's social media because I do scroll Strava a bit to see what people are doing, but there's not to me the same effect. It's not hardware because it's not gear. I think it's interesting. I think it is a SaaS business. So for our listeners, SaaS, software as a service, it's a software. It's a piece of software that people pay a repeated license fee for. It's a really good question. How do you value it? Do you value it just on its revenue and its numbers? Because if it's getting valued on, look, hey, young people are spending 8 hours a day on TikTok. Please tell me nobody's spending 8 hours a day on Strava.
Yeah. So, okay, interesting. I mean, I would push back a bit on this because if you just look at the first page of the report, the first page, which is here shown on the screen, anyone watching on YouTube or on Spotify, you can see it. They have three numbers highlighted. How many users? 180 million users. They have 14 billion kudos. So it's what the activities on kudos. Yeah. And they talk about how many hours being active. If you just take these three numbers, they are comparable to social media company numbers. Like if you look at a report of like a Facebook, or they say we have 3 billion users, they spend 100 billion hours on Facebook, and they engage X million amount of times. So just looking at the report of a Facebook compared to report of Strava, you could just switch out the colors and something would be similar style. So right now, if you look at the report right now, Strava position themselves as a social media company. How many users, engagement, and how many hours being spent. But why they're doing this though, what they're trying to tell you, however, is they're trying to tell you we're not a social media company, right? We are actually trying to be less online. So as an investor, if I would value them as a social media company, I would like, okay, I want to invest in you because you are keeping people on the platform, but you're telling me you're trying to do it less. And this is exactly I think the dilemma that Strava is in as a company, and I can bet on it that in the company, the culture, the people are probably struggling with this as well. There's probably some OGs, employees. It's actually, as you know, a fairly established company by now, multiple decades long. There's some that are saying we are a sports company. We are there for the community. We are there for the lifestyle. We're there for helping people be active. And I'm sure there's a new folks. I can see a CFO saying, no, excuse me, we're a social media company. We have to make money. We need to go public. And that will be a dilemma going forward. And I think that's where Strava will have an internal struggle and also external struggle to say, what are we? And maybe this report is going to be the last report of the OGs. And then if they go public next year, then you're going to see a new report coming out that says, how many paid subscribers, what the conversion rates are, how many hours active on Strava, blah, 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 blah. This is interesting right now because I think that's where a switch is happening. It's inside Strava and inside the community as well. So this is kind of how I look at it at the moment.
Honestly, I think that's a great analysis. Honestly, it had, because as soon as you asked the question, I couldn't figure out what it was. So it must be obvious to them that they can't figure it out what it is either. And it's an amazing platform, app, media. What is it? You're right. As we both know, Markus, investors can be brutal. And if you're going to go public, if you're going to put out your numbers out there, you're going to get kicked all 3 ways to Sunday. So you better know what you are.
For sure. And I think that there's also this whole idea about, again, they have not introduced any advertisement to the free subscribers. Like, I'm a free subscriber and, there's no advertising. But yeah, I mean, if you go public, there will be this whole pressure on revenue and profit margins, especially in this environment. And so they will probably, again, who knows? But I would say they'll probably introduce like Spotify and YouTube advertisement, and let's see how the 100 millions of free subscribers would feel about it, as they turn on that revenue engine. So big question mark as well.
How many adverts would it take for that 180 million to be 170 million and go down, right? This kind of number that's bandied around the net promoter score, like how many people would recommend Strava? I think most people would say today, I would recommend the free version. You don't get many people who are like, oh, Strava's the worst thing in the world. It's terrible, right? It's great. But what happens if every time you wanted to upload your workout because of pressures of IPO, you had to watch 4 ads? That would stick.
So right now, if you ask AI and do some research yourself, the revenue model is right now that most of the revenue comes from the premium subscribers. So it's really just premium subscribers. They have again no ad revenue. That people will ask yourself, hey, you can't have only one revenue source. You need more. You have to diversify revenue sources, right? And so that's where advertising comes in.
I wonder if it's brand, advertising can be done in a way that's not offensive to the community. Maybe this is another whole rabbit hole. Let's carry on through the numbers. But big brand deals, I don't think they want like tons of adverts just coming up in your feed the whole time. But a big brand, Strava brought to you by Under Armour, and they'll pay $10 million or $20 million, right, to be the provider of it or whatever.
I agree. All right, let's go back more to the report. I think some other nuggets in here. Also, what highlighted a lot is the generation Gen Z. So they pretty much talk about Gen Z only. They do talk about millennials and boomers. So that, for example, boomers are the ones who give the most kudos. Okay, nice. But pretty much everything else is about Gen Z. Again, they also position themselves as a Gen Z company, future company. As far as I know, the majority of users are actually millennials. So most of the activities, 40-something%, are logged by millennials. But the report again, which is marketing, talks a lot about Gen Z. Right? So something to keep in mind. Top sports were running, no surprise. I think on that note, hiking and walking is gaining a lot of attention. Especially walking is on the rise, which if I talk to my certain friends in California, the new thing is walking, by the way, which apparently people, like especially the ladies, are like saying, hey, this is the best way to lose weight. So they're logging their walks on Strava now, for example. Yeah. So here you have the idea about racing. So especially Gen Zs are saying that the main reason they're exercising is because they're training for a race, especially Gen Zs, and they are having this. A lot of them are in the 5K, 10K, half marathon, and then marathon also is important. But
one thing just to ask here: when Strava started 15, 20 years ago, I do wonder how many people were of that. Obviously, they weren't Gen Z then, but of that age range. Gen Z is what, 20 to 30 right now, right? That type of age range, right? How many 20 to 30-year-olds were running actively when Strava started 15 years ago? I mean, I don't think it's a surprise to hear that it would be less, but how much less, right? I think it would be significantly less. I think when Strava started, it was maybe the 30, 40, 50-year-olds massively powering in. I doubt it. It would be, and but maybe here's another problem for Strava. Who's got more money, 50-year-olds or 20-year-olds? 50-year-olds.
So that's also right. I think there's a conversation about inflation. So the 1 second. So 30% of Gen Z plan to spend more on fitness next year. 30% of Gen Z, where 63% of Gen Z are saying that they are investing mostly in wearables. So anything just like this. And also 65% of Gen Z are saying that they're affected directly by inflation, but they're still doubling down on spending on fitness and community stuff. So 65% of Gen Z feeling the inflation, I think the number for millennials is around 40% feeling inflation. Yeah, as you said correctly, Gen Zs feel the inflation the most. However, they still want to spend more on fitness next year. So they're prioritizing fitness.
You know if you read the big media, where is that money coming from? Alcohol. It seems to be that the young are not, they're not drinking as much and they're spending more. I mean, obviously it's not as literal as that, but it's kind of, let's spend on run club rather than drinking. Alcohol's bearing the brunt of that, which only can be a good thing, right?
So 64% of Gen Z said they would rather spend money on gear than on a date.
What?
Yeah. And 40% of Gen Z says they would use fitness to meet people to share their interests.
So this is slightly off topic. I read a report about Ozempic's impact on other things. There are more people buying smaller clothes. So smaller size clothes are selling more. More people are willing to travel because they feel better. The impact that might not be obvious. And I wonder, you just made me think, I wonder if Strava and running will cause a reduction in birth rate because people are more out running than going on dates.
I mean, everything positive is always something negative, that's how the world works. And I think that's, you can argue, if you're spending 3-4 hours on a Saturday morning on the long run, you spend less time with X, whether it's family or friends or with the dog, who knows? I mean, it's what it is. Interesting enough, also, I thought that the user data shows that 26% are beginners and 34% are intermediate runners. So the majority of runners are not advanced. So the majority of runners are either beginners or intermediate runners.
Which is surely a sign that the running boom is not about to stop today.
Correct. It's correct. And then there's a split between women prefer half marathons and men prefer marathons. So women are still more on the lower end of the distances, which I think also makes sense. And also more than half of the Strava users log multiple activities. So a lot of walking and cross training, weightlifting also is getting now tracked on Strava a lot.
Talking about women doing half or men doing full or whatever, I didn't see, and I would be interested in, when Strava launched and in the end of the first year, what percentage was men and what percentage was women. I can only imagine that the percentages are way more closer to equal today than they were then.
Yeah. On the club front, community front, I think it's interesting that the number of clubs has almost quadrupled in 2025. So 1 million total clubs are on the platform now.
Wow.
I think that is really crazy. Hiking clubs grew the fastest by six times. Running clubs 3.5 times. And then you have a lot of club organized events that grew by 1.5 times as well. So that's probably going to be talked about lots more in the IPO as well.
Surely they can make some money from clubs somehow. 1 million clubs, there must be a way to monetize that.
Yeah. That you might like. There's this quote I wanted to share with you. International travel was out, exploring the backyard was in. Let's go backyard. But it's more about that people are less likely to travel abroad. Less international travel, apart from Germans and British who still like to travel abroad for sports.
Look at us,
I guess. But I think the British and Germans like to travel anyway, so it's more like, I think we are amongst the top 3 or 4 countries in the world traveling abroad, so that's what it is. Maybe we don't like our home country so much, we travel abroad a lot. But it is, so interesting that they are making more home vacations around their place. So within their country, you have the idea of doing an exercise during vacation is really clear. So 23% more Gen Z than Gen X says fitness on vacation is non-negotiable. Yeah. And the 30% of the respondents said it's run, sun, and snacks. That's kind of the philosophy.
But isn't this a bit like that report I read about Ozempic, or how it impacts the other industries? I mean, if you're in tourism, this is incredibly important, right? If you're a hotel, that is incredibly important. That 23% of your market says a non-negotiable. I mean, as simple as, you go to a hotel and it has a running route map downstairs, or let's just imagine, hey, look, imagine someone ran a gel company that was nutritious and yummy and contained yummy fruits, and the hotel had a little basket of them at the front of their thing, and say, if you're going for a run, grab a gel. How good would you feel if your hotel? I have never, ever, 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 ever seen a hotel They give me a bottle of water. Have you ever been to a hotel that gave you a gel that had a few free gels on the way out? Ever? When you're going for your run? No one's done it.
I know, but it happens that I run such a company, and I do know that hotels are getting into it. But it's coming. But I think it's more like, how many times have you gone to a hotel and the gym is too packed and you can't run on the treadmill? I think I had many of these occasions where the treadmills are all blocked. They only have 2 treadmills and 4 people want to run. So I think that happened to me a lot. That you don't have enough equipment to cater to all of your staff, your guests.
And look, a treadmill's expensive, but even as simple as a little QR code to show a running map outside, if a third of your audience are into running, the simplest little task to show that you care makes a difference. Like, you'll tell people, oh yeah, that hotel had gels or had a few treadmills, or, let's face it, I think, people should read this report from other industries, and try to figure out, because this is, there's a lot of people, 180 million people. This is a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. The report also has some AI components. I'll skip over it. I mean, no surprise. People want to use AI for coaching more, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's almost, for me, it's fine. What I was kind of surprised about was on the shoe side. That surprised me, that ASICS is the number 1 shoe being used on Strava platform. So most runs are number 1 are recorded with the ASICS Nova Blast shoe. Number 2 is Nike, and number 3 is Hoka Clifton.
Just because, and you know me, I always say my view, whether it's right or wrong. I have been an ASICS user for 25, 30 years. I only use ASICS. I don't use it, and let's face it, they are a company that makes running shoes. Like, I'm not shitting on Nike. Nike makes shoes, not running shoes. They make shoes. ASICS, and again, being Japanese, I think we all know the Japanese attention to detail is high, and they've been around a lot longer than Hoka. It used to be that, you go to a start line of a marathon, before 10 years ago, like, it would be literally like 30% ASICS, right? And then New Balance, and then Brooks and whatever. So I'm very glad to see that. Markus, I would love at some point to dig into ASICS figures. I don't know much about the company, but you would like to believe they're killing it, but you never know, right?
It's amazing because, I mean, on our radar, when last time we talked about ASICS, we haven't really covered them much because they're quite quiet. They don't sponsor UTMB or Western States, or they don't sponsor marathons much. Yeah, but I think
Tom Evans is an ASICS athlete now. And he just won UTMB.
You're right. Of course they do athlete stuff, but I feel like they're not the loudest in the community.
For sure.
Others are. I mean, they're Japanese after all. But it's amazing for me. Like, it tells you also how much we live in a bubble, or in a marketing bubble, where you only have. You think of certain brands being number 1, but then you hear ASICS right now. It looks like it's number 1, and they're just doing their job very well. It's amazing. I like it. It's good.
Super glad.
Yeah. No, it's cool. Apple Watch number 1 in the watch category. Also, I thought interesting. I would have seen Coros up there, but Coros gaining traction. I mean, it's of course being newer.
Can I make a
different reach?
Yeah. Can I make an unfair comment? People are really running with an Apple Watch? Come on, people. You're not a runner if you're running with an Apple Watch. Well, come on, people. Do better.
As long as you're running, it's fine. But Aura and Whoop are really also coming. That's interesting as well. All the other smart devices. So let's see how it goes. I think last but not least, some funny stats about cities. So Boulder in Colorado, USA, had the one with the longest average run, which I found pretty cool, and most steps per day. So Boulder is a very active town in US. You have this US in the Los Angeles against versus New York kind of competition, and it's all cool. Copenhagen was the one with the fastest metro area.
Wow.
The Danish run the fastest. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then in South Africa and Colombia, the groups ran the most frequently. So a lot of social running in South Africa and Colombia, which I found super interesting as well.
So I'm in Bali. Yogyakarta, which is on the island of Java, which is the main island in Indonesia, has the most early birds, with people running between 4 till 7. I only imagine that's maybe traffic related. That some of these Southeast Asian cities, the traffic's pretty hectic as soon as 7 a.m. comes. So maybe they're trying to avoid the traffic. And interestingly, the South Koreans, I'm going to guess that's because they work ridiculously hard and they've only finished work at 9 p.m., right?
Yeah, the night owls. That's right. Yeah. So, yeah. Again, I recommend anyone out there that is keen to learn about Strava's year, go through the report. The PDF is pretty comprehensive, and it is worth a read if you're into this. But let's kind of look ahead again for the IPO. So, what does it mean, Ned? How do you think will Strava play it the next 12 months?
So I don't know if we've got these figures in front of me. I had some of them, which is their revenue figures. So is it correct to say, I mean, AI told me that Strava is now profitable. Do we accept that is correct?
I don't think so. No, I wouldn't call it fraud. No, I don't think so. No.
Okay,
No.
interesting.
No.
I mean, so
No.
revenue in 2023, so I know that's one behind, 275 million, 25% increase, heading towards 500 million of annual recurring revenue. This is from AI and Google, so if it's wrong, we apologize, Strava. No, okay, so answer me this. Let's say they get to 500 million. If they're going to IPO next year, let's say they're at 500 million. How are they losing money on 500 million?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's expensive to have a headquarter in San Francisco.
Well, they should get rid of that for a start.
Yeah. That's one. And then also, what kind of multiple do you apply? Because if I just ask AI as well, Under Armour is less than one multiple, and then you have Garmin that has, I think Garmin is a multiple on 6.5. Planet Fitness is 9.5 revenue. You know, it has a wide range also of Peloton is 1.5. So I think that's kind of one of the latest companies go public in this space. But I do trade it on definitely not 1 times revenue, because then they would lose money. I mean, the latest valuation round was $1.8 billion.
No. The latest valuation
Sorry.
just went up to 2.5.
Sorry, I was about to correct myself. Yeah, 2.5. There was one before. So 2.5, that is 5x of revenue, right? So 500.
Well, hold on. That's 5x forward, because they say it's going to get to 500 ARR. You know, I mean, look, you're an investor. Are you paying? Everyone's like, oh, pay forward. Let's say they were at 275 in 23. Let's just give it halfway in between. So let's just say 400 to be kind in 24. So 6x, right? They're getting 6x rev.
And also, it said the funding round included debt, by the way, right? So including debt, and you know what that means. So they were on an acquisition spree. They were buying other companies. They bought Runner. Fairly complex. That's all of it's complex. It's not as straightforward. So managing debt can't be easy as well.
So I had a look. Google says they have 700 employees. Now, let's just do a quick bit of math. We know that San Francisco is possibly the most expensive place to hire talent on
sure.
Earth, right? Let's say everyone gets $250,000 US, right? You know, base, all things, all in. So 700, you know, a quarter, there's 106, 170. You know, there's 170 million in salary alone, plus there's 200 mil, right? So pretty quickly you can see how they can lose money. I don't see them advertising a lot, but maybe they are. I don't know. And, you know, what other costs do they have? They have, you know, AWS is probably killing them for $1 million a month or something like that, right? More. I mean, I wonder what AWS gets off them, or whoever cloud server they're on. But, you know, they're probably spending on cloud storage tens of millions a year. So there's some money. I wonder what else they spend on. And you're right. So if you want to buy this at, let's just say 25 at 5 times forward, you know, 5 times revenue, 500, 2.5, where's the upside? Are they getting to 10? Are they getting to be a 10 billion company? Right? That's the question, right? Because if it's at 2.5 now, you're buying IPO. Are they getting to a 5 billion valuation company? What's going to double? And here's the reality. I think you nailed it. They've never advertised to us. I think they have to.
They have to, and I think they have to cater to this whole Gen Z crowd in a different way. So they're probably going to upset the millennials and the Gen X and boomers by changing the style and the way. But then they know that they need to make money from Gen Z, and if they want to grow.
Did you see that they added messaging? So I can message you in Strava. Have you ever messaged anybody in Strava?
Once or twice, yeah.
But it's not natural. It's just not a natural thing to do. I saw it.
Yeah.
And it's not. And so that was their first attempt. Hey, let's message in Strava. No. This is why I actually, I would say they're not a social media company, because you can't message. You're not. Yes, you follow, but not in the same way. You don't tell your story. There's just one set of data slammed in. So I think, yeah, I don't know. Like or maybe, they just go from 180 million users naturally to 360 million, right? Running just keeps growing. They just keep getting new people. Where else? I mean, let's face it, they are the dominant player in this space. I mean, there's no other real competitor, is there?
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Unless a competitor like Apple says we're going to do something similar, which I don't think they will, or like Facebook and others, if they go after this community part, maybe. I think for me, it's going to be interesting to see who they will hire or who they have just hired. And again, I only have a few data points here. I do know they're investing into the clubs and like the club teams, club team inside Strava. I'm not sure. I'm not aware of any monetization strategy there, but I can see, again, and maybe I've told you before, that clubs are charging the members now $50 a year or $100 a year, right? So if you want to join a running club, you have to pay sometimes in SF and Los Angeles and so on. And maybe Strava says, okay, you know what, we're gonna, charge a club now. If you want to, be in a club, you charge you $5 a month. So you have this whole social component there. So you have to monetize that. But again, I think I'm curious to see who they will hire as, a CTO coming forward or chief marketing officer, because that tells us a lot where they will go. They hired this Instagram guy, I think, 19 or something, 18, that already introduced more social features into it. There was more coming. Let's see who they will get on board there, because or they're going to the hardware space and say we're going to launch our own hardware now, because then they will value it differently.
Good point. Okay, so I know it's completely different business, hardware and software. Would a Strava watch work?
Sorry, actually, I had another thought, but yeah, I would work. Probably would work, but probably be very shitty, because I mean, it depends who you hire, of course. Having again read through the report now, given they talk so much about AI and coaching, and they have acquired Runner, I can see how they probably are going to go after the coaching space, and they're going to. As you know, coaching is everyone is a coach these days. For $100 an hour, you can get a coach and blah 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 blah. I can see how that might be a very nice revenue stream to monetize coaching as well. And we don't know, by the way, the numbers of Runner, because I know in US, when I see influencers, for them Runner is a big thing. Like everyone talks about, I'm a Runner sponsored influencer now. Here's my Runner code. Runner. Everything's Runner. Runner is big. Actually, Runner is very, very big. And it's almost has a bigger social media presence than Strava. So Runner is like really big.
Well,
something to consider as well.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like obviously Runner was doing great. I imagine they paid good dollars. It was undisclosed. Clearly they brought revenue, but they brought growth there. And let's face it, Strava's, is Strava cool? No, Runner's cool. Strava's never been cool. It's been kind of just infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
I wonder why they've never tried to be cool.
Maybe it's a DNA cultural thing. I mean, I don't think the people who started Strava were like cool dudes. You know what I mean? I think they were like more the Silicon Valley nerdy, wanted to log your data kind of dudes, cyclists. And I think, sure, it makes sense. I mean, but Runner was in London based, right? I think it was UK or something.
UK, London. UK,
it's more social, more cool. So yeah, maybe there's, maybe we overvalue right now Strava and we undervalue Runner, and we should maybe see what else they can do, and maybe they're having this hidden gem Runner that we don't talk about, and maybe there's something waiting for us.
But as you say, look, these assets, I have no idea of the numbers of Runner and what they did, but I don't know they paid hundreds of millions for it. I imagine they paid tens. They paid tens. And if they if they do an IPO and get several $100 million of debt, let's face it, assets to buy in the fitness running space are not expensive, right? They could just go and hoover up. They could just go and hoover up a lot, because how many other fitness apps have hundreds of millions of dollars of M&A capital to fire? Not many, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the players just, hey, we're already the dominant player in this space. But let's get a few $100 million in the bank, buy every cool thing. Now, of course, a bit like UTMB, when like, listen to Finn Melanson, he calls it, or other people call it the evil empire. Could UTMB hurt itself by being too dominant? Yes. Could Strava hurt itself by being too dominant? Because nobody hates Strava, right? Like everyone's it's just Strava. I love it for what it does, but I don't have an emotional attachment to it. I just like having it, right? Like I just like having it.
Let's quickly talk about then the lawsuit or the legal issue between Garmin and Strava, because it also reveals a bit. And just coming back to your question about hardware, given the fact there was this legal fight between Garmin and Strava, that tells us there's friction between software and hardware, and that tells us Strava, someone going out to sue Garmin, is usually, for me, it was a defensive play, like something like they wanted to defend something, and what they're trying to defend. And if you're trying to defend something, what do you do then as an offense? You can say, what, screw Garmin, we're going to do our own hardware, because there's something there that Strava is only possible if all of the tracking devices are connected to Strava. Right? If all of them say suddenly, nope, thank you, Strava will sit there like, oh my God, we can't do anything, right? You can, of course, use the app, and you have your phone on the app. We are going, but no one wants to run with the phone too much, right? And I think that's where, Chorus, Aura, Whoop, all the other devices are gaining traction on Strava. So you can only see Strava doing your own hardware if there's a coordinated attack from hardware on Strava saying we're going to block the streams now, the data streams.
Really good point. So let's think about it. If Garmin, Aura, Whoop, Chorus, Apple all got together and said, you know what, why don't we just build our own Strava and block going now? Strava is very dominant, 180 million. It's a big ask, but that is Strava's Achilles heel, because unless they have hardware, if the other devices, exactly as you say no, thank you.
Yeah.
What do they do?
I think the other, going back and more, the human psychology is, again, Strava works because of a few reasons. It taps back into human psychology. We're looking after validation. We're looking after social validation. We're looking after connection. We are kind of greedy. We have fear. We have FOMO of missing out, right? All these things. So I think another service could come up that taps into those even more, let's say, dramatically, and or financially. And that's something that we've seen in the crypto craze in 2021, I believe. There was an app called Steppen, which had the Steppen coins. And I do think that Gen Z, or even the generation after that, is going to be very tuned into cryptocurrencies and financially more like, as we said before, the other shows, democratizing your income streams. You become your own influencer. You make money different ways. Strava is like a typical, for me, millennial platform. You have a job at Google and you go running, like, put it this way. But I think as inflation and costs are putting more pressure on Gen Z and the generation after that, you can argue if there's a platform that makes you money for what you do, I can see how that could be a competitor, and or Strava introduces such similar incentives to the user base as well. So I do think that the money part cannot be underestimated, because Gen Z and what is Gen Alpha after that, right? They are thinking about the world differently. Everything they do has to kind of make money somehow, right? It's because this whole idea about I have a job and make money is not anymore there. And it's like everything I do needs to either be free or needs to be value or need to have a value for this, right? So I do think there could be competition from other apps, like a cryptocurrency app, or Facebook says, I'm going to have my own currency, and now you can log your steps and earn Facebook token. I'm thinking out wild here right now, but you know what I mean.
Sure. Hey, and I don't disagree. Here's an idea. So great point. There must be a way that your energy output earns you financial input, right? So for a while, sure. I think it was Qantas, the Australian airline, said, if you log more than 20,000, we'll give you airline points. So for the steps you take. And one of the life insurance companies previously said, If we see from your running data that you have covered X many steps, we'll reduce your premium because you're fitter. So that was a direct input output. You'll pay less in life insurance premium or free airline points. Airline points, life insurance, or crypto, it's all just assets that have a value that you can earn from input. Now, Strava has all that data. You're right. There must be a way that they could monetize and sell and say to people, yeah, okay, you're a runner, pay you. I don't know. Let's face it, there must be.
Okay. Let's wrap it up quickly and let's go through the list again and give each of these strategies a yes or no likelihood. So let's start with Ned. What do you think would Strava do next? Let's start with AI coaching. Invest?
Yes.
Not invest into it. Yes.
Invest.
Will they go into hardware? Yes or no?
I'm going to say no. I think they should, but I think it is literally a different business, so I'm going to say no. What do you think?
Will they? I said no too. Will they become more social media like? So they will have more social media platformish like live streaming components. Yes or no?
Yeah. Yes, but they will suck at it.
Okay. Will they introduce cryptocurrencies into the platform?
Please, for the love of God, no.
Will they do advertisement to free subscribers?
100% absolutely. And let's just hope they get the balance right. And I don't begrudge them. I have had Strava free for 15 years. I don't know why I don't pay. I don't need the rest. As long as it's not egregious, as long as it's just one quick ad to load my data, I will accept it. But they could turn the screw and make it 4, 5, 6 ads. So I have to pay premium to get rid of it.
Okay. Any feature, any strategy I'm missing?
Yeah. Will they? Yes, no. Will they use their money to just buy other companies and dominate the market?
Yes, they will acquire more.
Would you buy the stock on the first day of IPO?
No. Oh, I mean, sorry, and yeah, I should know. I mean, I would need to read the perspective. I need to read the filings. I don't know right now. I mean, it comes down to some key numbers. I think then the question will be, what kind of key numbers do I need to see? I need to see subscription rate. I need to see retention rate. I need to see conversion rates. I need to see some data there to yeah.
One last question. If you were offered the job to be CEO of Strava, would you take it?
I would have ideas what to do with the company. That's right. Is there a fit with the rest of the staff? I don't know. Which key hire from what company would they do the next 12 months before the IPO?
Well, they can't afford Johnny Ive. They can't afford Johnny Ive anymore because he got paid $1 billion to go to OpenAI to design a phone. So they can't get Johnny. What is the key hire that they have to make? That's a fantastic question. They want to hire this. Okay, this is just stupid. Is Sam Altman a runner? Maybe they hire him because he's free. Remember, he doesn't get paid, so he's a free resource, right? Because he doesn't get paid to OpenAI. And the second one is the person they should hire is Mr. Beast.
Interesting, because I would have said also like someone from YouTube because of the social media strategy, like this stuff, or like what they did with Instagram, and the other one would be someone from an AI, like someone AI researcher, like to make really use of the data. Yeah, like some key AI hires.
Well, Sam's free; he doesn't cost any money. So,
well, Sam has to save his own neck because everyone is. I mean, that cluster F is going to be interesting to figure out. All right, guys, thanks for this. And we're wrapping it up as usual with a wonderful drop from Ned.
Okay, just because we have been irreverent today, you have to buy one of these stocks. Strava at today's price or OpenAI at today's price. Which one do you buy?
Oh, Strava, yeah. This is, by the way, non-financial advice. We are not here to give anyone financial advice. There's a disclaimer. We have no interest in Strava. We have no interest in OpenAI. We are a completely neutral podcast without interest and no advice. Thank you so much.
That was gold. All right, this one was inspired by Chorus and Strava today. So I didn't do this because of this, but I went out and ran pretty hard, for an old man hard, and my heart rate was pretty high, and I felt really good for the rest of the day, very high energy, and I've been on a few calls, and almost on every call, people are like, oh my God, you got extra energy today. So I was like, oh, I wonder why, and they realized it's because I put in a bunch of effort. So this one's called effort. It really does matter the effort you put in today. I felt it today. I tried hard, just 1 hour, but my watch told me my average heart rate, 153. Max, 178. I'm 58 years old. The old school formula is max heart rate is 220 minus your age, which means my max should be 162. Wait, what? I did more than my max? It doesn't matter what my max is. It's about how hard I went. And I don't really need a watch to tell me that. I felt it almost from the go. I told myself, this is it. 1 hour. Don't think. Just do. And I just did. I didn't run quite as quick as I hoped, but it was hard. And I finished at 7 a.m. And for the rest of the day, I felt like Superman. And that's what it is. That's what I realized. That's what is kryptonite. That's why it's running. You go out and do slow runs. Sure, I do slow runs. But you go out and do different runs. Every so often, they have to be hard. Batter yourself against the wall. Because that's what it feels to be human. It's the effort. It's the push. It's the vomit almost coming in your throat. Yes, it's the heart rate. That's the magic. We can be more than we are for the rest of the day as long as we put in our effort. You can do it too. Don't be scared of effort. It's the effort that defines you. Get out there.
Thank you. And I thought effort means it's like F-U-C-K. But it's actually effort.
Effort.
All right. Effort. All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's true. I mean, I think that's anything in life. If you put in some work from time to time, you will get results.
Yeah, well, it's not just. It wasn't just that I got result. I mean, it wasn't. But I felt like I always feel good after a run, but I felt extra good because this time, like I definitely during that run, I had times when I was like, oh my God, like it really wasn't fast, but it was on like hilly jungle trails. But I was, seriously, I used to get my heart rate much higher, but over 150 for me, average for an hour is high enough for an old man. And I felt it, and I felt myself wanting to take my foot off the gas. And I was like, no, keep it on. It was hilly and up and downy. And it was because, like I spent my time running really slowly. You watched me run slowly for a long time, right? So it was fun to do something different. And I felt very different after that as compared to my normal slow run.
Nice.
Anyway, there we go.
Good. Yeah. Everyone out there, thank you so much. Enjoy your Christmas time if you are in a Christmas time zone. And otherwise, thank you so much, Ned. We'll speak to you next week.
And everybody, if you're in a Christmas time zone, if any of you listeners somehow never find yourself in a Christmas time zone, please tell us because you have managed time travel. We love you all. We'll see you next week.
That's true. Bye-bye.